What's cracking with you people? Anansi here, and welcome back to Dead or Alive. In the last one, we did our entire segment on Kasumi and her story as of Dead or Alive. In this one, we're going to do Zack, a recurring character for the entire series, and essentially the running punchline to every single joke. And I just want to, just to give you an idea of what I mean by he's a running gag in Dead or Alive. I was going to read this excerpt from the manual because it's actually done in an interview style between Zack and a reporter. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Reporter: We're here with Mr. Zack, who is about to participate in the DOA Championship. Mr. Zack? Zack, where's the camera? Are you sure you got my best side? Reporter: Mr. Zack, that's a little too close to the camera. Great. So, I understand that you studied the Oriental martial art of Muay Thai. Zack: Hey man, sorry. You know what I mean? Gotta go. Thanks for your support. It's gonna be a cool night. The prize is mine. Reporter: Sir, Zack, sorry man, be cool. This tournament rocks. Yeah, Zack is characterized as a fast-talking, high-energy, hyperactive numbskull who is just out to get the prize money for the tournament. Essentially me, but with no martial arts training whatsoever, just a hyperactive nut job. So, yeah, and Zack has been in every single Dead or Alive game. I mean every single Dead or Alive game. That includes the volleyball. As a matter of fact, you're looking at the character who is canonically responsible for those games even happening. So with regards to Zack, Zack is a DJ from America, and in later games, he would be characterized as being self-taught in Muay Thai martial arts. If any of you have actually seen the Street Fighter animated television show, an animated cartoon, I want to say from back in like the late 90s, that focused on Ken and Ryu as young teenagers traveling the globe looking for fights, and they bump into a young teenage Chun-Li and I mean, when I say teenage Chun-Li, I mean this Chun-Li is completely different from what you expect inside the games. She's the Interpol officer in the game, serious, has a bit of a soft side to her, but overall, all about her job. Chun-Li inside the TV show is a complete rambunctious a little child, but a rambunctious teenager. Like, she is fun-loving, on the go, just kind of and sometimes confused as to why Ken and Ryu do the things she does, do the things they do. That's a side story. In the Street Fighter, I think it's called Street Fighter 2V, is the actual show, and in it, Ryu gets sent to jail where he meets Sagat, the original antagonist for the original Street Fighter video game. I would say the original one. And in jail in Thailand, no, not in Thailand. Why did I say Thailand? In Taiwan, he learns Muay Thai by watching Sagat's movement, and as the fight goes on, Ryu just gradually learns more and more of the stances and the motions that go with it. I don't think that's how Zack did it, but Zack is characterized as being so off the wall and so crazy that he taught himself Muay Thai, which is a very technical martial art, which actually gets me into the technical side of Zack. Zack as a fighting character, in my experience playing Dead or Alive, is one of the more technical fighters. To put it in a way that kind of makes sense, the only thing that's a joke about him is his personality and motivations for entering the Dead or Alive tournament. That's the only thing that's funny about him. As well as the interactions he has with the other characters. Tina specific. Well, yeah, I would say Tina specific. Yeah, I'd say Tina specifically. I think as of 2 and 3, Tina becomes essentially yeah, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Tina and Zack become kind of a comedic duo in a really weird way. But if you learn Zack, he's a very decent fighter to use. He's one of the faster characters in the series. His signature move is essentially this rapid kind of machine gun kick he does, which he does a little bit of it in the first game, but it's not as egregious, I think, as it is in later games, or at the very least, I can't pull it off to that extent. But he, in my opinion, just as a casual player, if you learn his move style, you could very easily just kind of breeze through any mode in the game, because he is just that relentless. And that's about it in terms of combo style. So getting to Zack as a character and as his history, well, Zack is characterized as kind of desperate in later games. Like, he really wants to get the girl. Been there, done that. And it's to a point where I would argue it becomes, it stops being funny, becomes kind of cringy, which I think is why they dropped the joke after 3. Like, I think after Dead or Alive 3, they stopped with the joke, and gave him a girlfriend who is just as crazy as he is. Which, fun fact, when you first see her, I think you first see her in Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, I want to say. Even though I think she's in one of the ending cutscenes of 3. I'll admit I hadn't actually played his storyline in a 3 at all up to that point. But when I first saw her, I thought she was Christy, which is a character that gets introduced in Dead or Alive 2. Yeah, a lot of the mainstays, a lot of the iconic characters, or I guess all of the more standout characters from Dead or Alive don't get introduced to the second game. And their roster drops in and out and changes around every once in a while. So it's kind of fluid in that sense, but it only really to the point where it's like, I want to say 3 or 4 characters kind of rotate on a regular, whether or not they're going to be in the games or not. But Zack's whole thing is that he's just trying to get laid. Well, in later games anyway. But I want to touch upon Zack in a very specific kind of way, and that's in context to the fact that he's been portrayed by Dennis Rodman, the basketball player. And I think it's because Dennis Rodman actually did know martial arts. I forget if he was like ridiculously good at. Well, I say ridiculous. I forget if he was like ludicrously good at it, but I remember a friend of mine said, "Yeah, no, Dennis Rodman actually does know martial arts." I forget which one he knows specifically, but I remember a friend of mine just randomly dropped it. It's like, yeah, that makes sense why he played Zack in the movie. And I had got that wrong. He doesn't play Zack in the Dead or Alive movie. It's actually portrayed by somebody else. But in Extreme Volleyball, which is, for some reason, he's the only character him and Nikki are the only 2 characters in that game who speak English. His English voice actor is Dennis Rodman. And it is surprisingly glorious, the way he plays that character. It's only like all of, I want to say, in terms of like spoken language and runtime of his dialogue, I want to say it's no more than like 3 or 4 minutes, but it's some of the most entertaining stuff you're going to listen to, because Dennis Rodman plays it completely straight. And most of the spoken dialogue scenes, when he's hamming it up, and he is hamming it up, the dude's having the time of his life. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, but I want to bring up Zack in terms of I guess in terms of his portrayal in the game, and in terms of how um, I guess it's become a talking point in recent years. I didn't really think about it, and honestly, to some extent, I don't think it's that big a problem, at least from my point of view, as you know, a brother living in the world. Japan has a tendency to make black characters these kind of fun-loving characters, which is surprising when you actually look up um, the history of, well, I guess of black people in Japan, because it's actually as much as a mixed bag over there. Well, mixed bag in massive quotations here. But it's interesting because, at least as far as I can tell, they're either portrayed as these fun-loving goofballs or these hard, no-nonsense type people. And as far as I can tell, that comes from back during the Warring States period, when I think Noda Obunaga met a black slave. I think either purchased his freedom or traded him for something. I can't remember what it was, but he acquired the guy. I want to say he freed him and then made him a samurai. Like, and we're talking about when I say that it's weird like that. It's weird because Oda Nobunaga, in terms of Japanese culture, he's like one of the first great unifiers of Japan. Like if it wasn't for him, Japan as it exists today would not be where it is. But he is portrayed as like the meanest guy you're ever going to meet. Like when they do parades of the three great founders, which is literally back to back to back, excluding one guy in the middle that was only ruler of Japan for like all of 3 days. Like it was just sad for that guy. And he was right after Nobunaga. Like he got this dude killed. Nobunaga is considered a demon. If you play games like Warriors Orochi, or any of the Dynasty Warriors games that have the exaggerated portrayal of a lot of Japan and even China's great leaders and great historical or mythical figures, Nobunaga is portrayed as a demon. I think it comes from the fact that he called himself, I think, the Great Dragon, or not Great Dragon, but I think he compared himself to the 8-headed serpent Orochi. So yeah, and the dude was as cruel and sadistic as that name would suggest. Like he set an entire mountain on fire and killed all of the innocents that tried to escape, just because he got annoyed with the warrior monks that kept messing with him. Like, if you want the full history, I recommend looking up extra histories. What's the one I'm looking for here? Extra credits, extra history video series on the history of the Warring States period, because they go through Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu, who I believe was the final great unifier, who actually kind of set the precedent that would guarantee a stable transfer of power, or a stable power structure in Japan for years to come. Like the third one, Tokugawa is literally the guy people look up to as like, this is the guy right here. Yeah, this is our golden boy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no. But beyond the Black Samurai, when America violently opened up trade routes with Japan, like we really looked that one up. That was, oh boy, we as a nation could have really handled that a lot better. So, they brought over, once again, more like slave propaganda, which it's the stuff you see in early American entertainment, with like casual slavery and casual racism and blackface and that kind of stuff. And then BET happened, and this is where things get a little confusing, and is one of the reasons why I think Zack and subsequently black people in general, in terms of Japanese culture, are portrayed the way that they are. As some of you may know, there is a style of popular dress or pop culture dress among teenage girls in Japan called, I think, Gyaru or Galko. I can't remember what the actual name is. But it involves girls in Japan lengthening their nails, bedazzling them out the wazoo, sometimes darkening their skin and bleaching their hair blonde or dyeing their hair blonde. And some people say it has more to do with an ancient Japanese demon who, once again, it escapes me, who is known to have darker skin and golden blonde hair. As a matter of fact, the Pokemon Jinx, before they colored her skin purple and had her skin black, was based off of this demon. And a mixture of the Galco style, I believe. But to my understanding, when BET started getting really, really, really big in the late 90s, early 2000s, it got aired in syndication over in Japan, and the style and the hip-hop style kind of gripped the youth of Japan at the time, to a point where a lot of Japanese teens and young adults were trying to emulate the styles they would see on BET. So yeah, I guess in some weird way, and this is stuff that this is off of independent research that I have seen and looked into. I have not found anything to definitively verify it, but I have not found anything to even hint at it being contrary to the case. So I'll let you guys determine how to read that as you will. But I believe, as a result of that late 90s, early 2000s boom and the idea behind African American culture in terms of like the hip hop and I guess early rap days, a lot of black people get portrayed as these kind of really cool dudes and as these really stylish individuals in Eastern culture. Like, we get another black character in Dead or Alive, Lisa Hamilton, and she's portrayed as a scientist, like a really cool, down-to-earth, fun-loving scientist that you just kind of want to hang out with. As you know, it's capoeira. But we'll get into her character when we get around to playing. I won't say the game she's introduced in, because the game she's introduced in is Dead or Alive Extreme, and her first proper fighting game would be the game released afterwards, Dead or Alive 4. But she is portrayed as this kind of homely character, and it's weird because you think it wouldn't be that way, because Japan itself has a very how should I say this? When I took my Japanese class back in college, it's hard to say that it's racist. It's hard to say that it's a racist culture. It's very hard to say that. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely racist people around the world. I'm not even going to try to even say that doesn't even exist in Japan. But okay. Think about it like this. I don't know how we got, and I know we're on kind of a weird tangent here, but I need to get this across to kind of really emphasize just kind of why Zack is the way that he is going forward, even introduced in Dead or Alive. Think of it like this: in every country, there's always there's pride in your homeland, pride in your culture, pride in your history, to the point of being dangerously nationalistic. But some people walk that pride while acknowledging that they're not exactly perfect, or they're just, happy. They're just grateful for the good things in life and just glad they're not doing the terrible things that they used to do. Then you have that one uncle that you don't really want to invite to the family get-together, but you only invite him because he is family, but you know for a fact that he's going to say some really stupid, racist crap. And in modern times, when you have a girlfriend or a cousin or someone who is either dating or married to someone of another ethnic branch of life, You know, it's like, ooh, we invite this guy, it's not going to end well. That's kind of how Japan is. Because as far as that uncle is concerned, there's your country and everybody else, and that's kind of how Japan looks at things. I think the concept for foreigner they have is just gaijin, which literally just means foreign person. I don't think they actually have a specific racial slur for other individuals. As far as they're concerned, there's Japanese people and non-Japanese people, which, trust me, like is that you look at I think Gaijin Goomba, who is in his name. He took that word and kind of ran with it. He spent time in Japan. He talks about. I recommend looking up some of his videos if you can, to kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. I won't say he's a leading authority in it. You can find plenty of videos and whatnot on the internet that's talking about foreigners in Japan, either from Japanese people or from people living in Japan. But I find it interesting because it's like, if that really is the mindset, if that really is the case, then why aren't a lot more characters portrayed a certain type of way? Like, why aren't the Japanese characters portrayed really cool, over the top and whatnot? Because the Japanese characters in their life are portrayed just as goofy as Zack and any other characters, just in different context. And in my opinion, I think they do a decent job at least giving them character, giving them life, and giving them a personality. And I think that's kind of the difference. That's what separates a decent character from a caricature. Which is one of the reasons why, as we go forward in the Dead or Alive games, it's going to be interesting to talk about Zack. Anyway, I've been Anansi, you've been awesome, and I'll catch you later.